Hi, it's Ron. We're going to talk today about something I alluded to in our last lesson, but I think it's a good idea to do a little bit more detail on it. Where can you be sued? We're talking about the American civil litigation system, and America is a very big place. What if I live in New York and somebody sues me in California? Can someone just sue me in California for no, because they live in California and that's where they want to litigate and make me have to go out there to defend myself or to hire a lawyer in a distant place? Why should I be subject to jurisdiction in California? So this actually is something that is governed by the United States Constitution. It is a substantive right that you as a citizen have to not be, as the cases put it, hailed into court, whether it's state court or federal court, in a place that you have nothing to do with whatsoever. A court can only have jurisdiction over you if the state has jurisdiction over you. If you've never been to Oregon in your life, you've never been to Wyoming, you've never been to New Jersey, those states don't have any jurisdiction over you except under certain circumstances. Let's talk about a person now and not a corporation, just to keep it simple. You can't sue somebody anywhere unless they have taken some kind of action that would make it reasonable for them to expect to be held responsible for what that action was in that state, in that place. Now, there are two kinds of personal jurisdiction. One is general jurisdiction and one is specific jurisdiction. General jurisdiction means you're so involved in that state. Your life is so regular and involved in some location within that state that it wouldn't be surprise you that even if the person suing you is someone you never met, or if it was even someone from another state, but it would not be unreasonable to expect you and for you to expect to be subject to the jurisdiction of the courts of that state. So what does that mean? The place where you live, obviously. Anyone who wants to sue Ron Coleman for anything can come to New Jersey and sue him. Just try it. There's also something called specific jurisdiction. Specific jurisdiction means I've done something in that state, or I have agreed, say in a contract, to subject myself to the laws of that state, that although I don't otherwise have anything or much to do with the state, makes it reasonable for me to be subjected to its laws. So let's say I enter into a contract with someone to supply me with widgets, that someone lives in Louisiana. So it makes a lot of sense for me to expect that I may very well be held responsible for breaching that contract in Louisiana, especially if the contract says in it, the parties agree that any disputes arising hereunder will be litigated in a court located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, for example. It is a little bit trickier when you're not dealing with a contract, you're dealing with a tort. Most states have statutes that say, to the extent permissible by the Constitution, in other words, to that reasonableness standard, what's called longarm jurisdiction. Our state will go to the constitutionally permissible extent of protecting its citizens or people who do business here by maximizing their ability to sue people who are in other states if they commit a tort that is directed at somebody in this state or that is reasonably expected to have an effect cause harm in this state. So if I defame you, I'm in New Jersey and I defame you, and you live in Missouri, and I know you live there, and I know who you are, and I've just built a website calling you a jerk, and or writing a newspaper article, or going on TV. So I have directed my activities toward the forum state. Then it is reasonable for me to expect to be held accountable for them in the forum state. That means in either federal or state courts, if other aspects of jurisdiction are satisfied, we're only talking about personal jurisdiction. Remember, federal courts don't have jurisdiction over every kind of case. And even state courts don't necessarily have jurisdiction over every kind of case. It's a little bit more of an abstract question or topic that I don't intend to really talk about. But if I direct my activities toward you or cause harm in a way that I can reasonably be expected to cause you harm in the state where you're located is a place that you can sue me. That doesn't necessarily mean that the state is the best place, by the way, to sue me. Either for me, you might be bad for me because it's inconvenient for me to have to come to Missouri to defend myself. If you and I did business, let's say you and I set up a company here in New Jersey, and we ran it together for 5 years, and we kept all our books and records and files in our factory here in New Jersey, and you lived in Missouri the whole time, but I never came to Missouri. You and I had a meeting here in my office, and then I breached the contract. Well, if the contract said that Missouri will be the location for our lawsuit, then I can't really object to it. But if let's say it's not a business, let's say it's a tort. Let's say you and I were doing things together, and then we stopped doing things together, and I got angry with you, and I made that website. I started defaming you. So maybe Missouri does have jurisdiction over me, but the things that we were doing together, the information, the witnesses, the business, were all located in New Jersey. You can still bring, or I can still bring, if you sue me in Missouri, a motion of what's called a venue motion, which says that, yeah, there's jurisdiction here in Missouri, but it's a really stupid place for us to do this lawsuit because all the information, all the witnesses, and Ron Coleman himself, I am in New Jersey. There's no reason that we should litigate this in Missouri. And in a case like that, it's very likely the case would be moved to New Jersey, depending on lots of circumstances. And in fact, different states have different ways of measuring what the proper venue is. And federal courts will use the state law of the state in which they are located to measure these factors as well. Now, for corporations, this is a little bit different. You can definitely sue a corporation in two places. One is the state in which it is incorporated. One is the state in which its main headquarters is. It might seem amazing to you that a company like Twitter, for example, could have a major office where it has hundreds of employees and a name on the building, but its main headquarters officially is in San Francisco. If it has all of those other things in another city like New York, that you wouldn't be able to sue New York and sue that corporation in New York because it's not its headquarters. But courts routinely held that, which is kind of stupid because if you're a person, you would obviously have general jurisdiction. You would be able to sue the company in New York because it does business in New York, not just in the way that corporations do business probably in every state, like by selling stuff there or performing services there, but really having a very distinct and purposeful corporate presence in that state. Well, the Supreme Court ruled in 2023 that maybe that's not such a great rule. uh, especially if a state says that in order to get permission to do business in this state, most states, maybe all states, have laws that say that if you're a foreign corporation, remember, corporations are creatures of states. So if you form a corporation in Delaware and then you want to operate it in New Jersey, New Jersey has a right to say, why should I recognize this corporate creature? Now, there is something called full faith and credit clause under the Constitution, which says, well, if Delaware says it's a corporation, it's a corporation. But states are entitled to say that in order to qualify to do business in our state, a foreign corporation, foreign meaning not from this state, has to register. So Pennsylvania had a law that said you have to register and you have to agree to service a process and to jurisdiction over any lawsuit against you in this state. And the Supreme Court upheld that, said, yeah, if that's what you agreed to, then that's enforceable, and we should probably even reconsider, although they did not in that case, this idea that corporations are more immune from general jurisdiction as grounds for personal jurisdiction than people are. I hope that clarified things a little bit, and I thank you again for stopping it.